Hey guys, Jack here. We're going to be looking at the balance changes for Hearthstone, which came out on the day it's recording is 1/31/2019. I don't know when you're watching this, but these are going to be put in place February 5th, 2019. So this is pretty exciting. Hearthstone's been stale for a while. I really like when balance changes come out. I'm just curious to see how they do approach this. And yeah, let's take a look. Well, I mean, I saw them beforehand, but I want to get into a discussion. So, all their mantra and stuff about classic sets, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Changing it because it's highly prevalent, regardless of the strategy has been popular. Ultimately, it stifles diversity. And to it, again, in all fairness, it is important to change these things, so a card game does not get stale. I'll talk about my opinions on them after we view them and look at the meta-analysis for what I think these cards are going to become. But yeah, let's get started. So Cold Blood, going to 2 mana, sorry. Well, this, first of all, obviously it removes Cold Blood from odd decks, right? So you can't. This is definitely a hit to odd rogue. Cold Blood was actually a pretty important card in that deck because 1 mana deal 4 is pretty good, especially on minions that can stick, and especially on things like Tar Creeper too. Sometimes people don't realize how big that is because you can't trade it in early game. So this is a pretty sizable nerf actually to Odd Rogue. The second thing to think about is that this actually hurts Miracle decks. Miracle Rogue is a deck that has been prevalent since the beginning of Hearthstone pretty much, and it always runs Cold Blood because you have Gadget Zan. So part of the engine is that cheap spells like Cold Blood, which is 1 mana, you get the combo off, get a huge shit ton of damage. You also can draw cards potentially if it's a Gadget Zan turn. It's just so versatile. So this is a pretty big hit to Rogue, but ultimately I do think Rogue can combat this and figure out a way to add things to their deck that will still keep it pretty viable. Yeah. Flame Tongue Totem, so up to 3 mana now from 2. Again, pretty sizable nerf. Now Shaman doesn't get insane turn 1s. I will say though, even though this is a sizable nerf, it's not the craziest thing, right? Because if you think about it like this, Shaman plays something turn 1. Yes, they can trade up using Flame Tongue turn 2, but the most value you get out of Flame Tongue is actually on turn 3 or turn 4, right? When you have 2 minions up. So even though this is a sizable nerf, I actually do see a world where Flame Tongue sees play. So I don't think this actually guts Flame Tongue. I think it's still possible for this card to see play. It's just not universally as good anymore. Now, this is one that's a pretty big hit. Equality goes up to 4 mana from 2 mana. Now, the obvious thing is right, if it went up to 3 mana, then odd decks might use it. Because let's be real, Equality at 3 mana is still a pretty good card. At 4 mana, you start getting into questionable territory. Now the card is do I play it or not? And this really, I don't know, man. Equality Pyro has been a combo in Hearthstone for a long time. 4 mana clear combo. Equality Consecrate 6 mana. Now that combo is going to be 6 or 8 mana for Equality Pyro or Equality Consecrate. This is a pretty sizable nerf, actually. Shrink Ray is 5 mana, but it also sets the attack to 1. I was seeing arguments that it might be worth considering to play Shrink Ray. This is one of the cases where I actually do not know if Equality still sees... I still think it'll see play, but I don't know if it 100 all the time will, how much it will it was before, because this is really one of Paladin's only board control tools from the classic set, at least that is very consistent. But yeah. Hunter's Mark. So up to 2 mana. This was originally a 0 mana actually, and then it went to 1 mana, now it's 2 mana. It makes sense that they're nerfing it. I mean, Hunter's Mark is a very good card. You can get it off some random spell generation, but that won't be too much of a problem all the time. But with Candle Shot, it makes it very good. I wasn't expecting this card to get nerfed though, I'll be honest, but it does affect it a bit. It makes it so it's not as insane on tempo swings, so it's a lot like the Execute nerf from back in the days when Execute went from 1 to 2 mana. But overall, I like the change. Emerald Spellstone. Costs up to 6 mana, so the only non-basic or classic card in this round of changes. We want to position Emerald Spellstone as efficient mid and late game threat, so we're moving the cost up by 1 to reduce its utility as an early game aggressive tempo option. This change, along with Hunter's Mark change, is aimed at addressing Hunter's prevalence, while still leaving it as a viable option. I still think Spellstone is 100% played. Secrets are very good. You're going to play this in a deck that has secrets. So yeah, I don't see this not being played. But yeah, I mean... Listen, I'm not a huge fan of all these changes, right? I don't really like the Equality change that much. I don't mind the Flame Tongue change. The Cold Blood change is fine. The main one, I actually don't like the Equality change. The thing is, though, that people often bring up and this is where I talk about the design element, is that classic and basic cards are very powerful. And as a result, Blizzard's going to have to continue Hall of Faming or nerfing them or just power creeping them out of the game with stronger expansions. I like the idea of a classic set, and I actually think there should be something of a classic set. But in my opinion, it should be a rotating classic set and a rotating list. pretty much the basic cards should all stay the same. I think the basic cards, you can change or nerf them however you want, keep them all in the game. Cards like Fireball, they nerfed Fiery War Axe, but whatever, right? Keep the basic cards all in the game. They don't have to be super powerful. If you need to nerf them, you can. Classic set to me should be a rotating set in the sense that it is not rotating like the other sets where like you just rotate the entire set out. Rather, it rotates certain cards out, and what they can do is rotate certain cards from old expansions into the classic set to change it up. So say they want to bring back like Kel'Thuzad for some reason, but they want to remove Ragnaros. Ragnaros is already out of classic set pretty much in the sense that it's only wild available. So what you do is you Hall of Fame Ragnaros for a year, and you bring in like Kel'Thuzad as a replacement legendary for classic set if people buy those packs. I think that would be a very interesting way to handle it. I would like a rotating classic set in that sense because it gives a Blizzard a lot of freedom to like, hey, this year we don't have as many oppressive, we don't have cube combos anymore, right? So once cube rotates out, we want to bring Sylvanas back. Sylvanas is a very cool card. So let's bring that back. So I think the idea of a rotating classic set, I don't know how, Kibler talks about this very often. I don't know how he would want to implement this, but to me, this would be a good way to do it. And I think it would make the game overall more fun, right? Because you could rotate that stuff, yearly. And so along with the yearly classic rotation also comes the rotation of standard sets, which would be really cool, actually. And it gives Blizzard more pretty much knobs to actually tune their game, right? If you look at League of Legends has a ton of ways Riot tunes their stuff. Well, this would give, Blizzard more ways to tune Hearthstone. And I think that would actually be very cool. But anyways, overall, so I think Rogue will find a way to survive, but this is obviously out of aggro. I don't know if Miracle will still play it. I actually don't think Flame Tongue is the hugest nerfed ever, but it will, like, in some situations because it is 1 mana up. I actually think Equality might not be 100% played in, like, Universal anymore. I still think at 4 mana it is playable, but playable is different than, like, a card that's, like, if they print more cards, do new cards, like, take over, right? Like Shrink Ray, for example. So I don't know about Equality 100%. I think Hunter's Mark and some decks will still see play because you have so many tools to enable it, like Candle Shot and the 1/1 Rush. After Candle Shot and the 1/1 Rush go away, I'm not 100% sure on Hunter's Mark because you need a way to like actually deal the 1 damage, and without efficient ways, cheap ways to do it, maybe not. And like I said before, Spellstone gets changed. It'll still be played. I mean, it goes from 5 mana 12/12 to 6 mana 12/12. So yeah, makes sense to me. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Tell me what you guys think about the balance changes below. Obviously, give me whatever feedback you need. I'm looking forward to the next Hearthstone expansion, guys, in a few months. And yeah, if you want more Hearthstone, League of Legends, or any sort of game comment, comment below what you guys want to see. But other than that, this is gonna be Jack signing out.